Hey guys, Paul McLean here. Welcome to the Monday Morning Wake Up Podcast. And hey, privilege and honor to have you guys on each and every week. I don't take it lightly, and I do my best to provide as much value as possible to you every single week. And I'm telling you, this week, if you don't have a pen and a piece of paper, grab one or iPad or something up to take notes. This is one that I really believe it's something that if internalized, if acted upon, it could absolutely transform your business without a question. I believe it's so much so that it's something that I'm convicted in. I believe without a doubt, this can bring great value to you. And what we're going to talk about today is habits. What does that look like? And I know early on, I had this one belief that really kind of led me to making a lot of good choices that led me to a place where I started to help enough families to get the result I wanted. And that was simply understanding that, there's commonalities, right? There's habits, there's routines, there's rituals, there's systems in place that the top producers, that the top, agency owners, that they have, that if I could just pick those up, I don't have to be anything special. It's just a matter of me being consistent in these systems. And so today we're going to talk about habits, and I do believe it's going to make a massive difference for you. We're going to unpack the different habits and commonalities of the top producers, the agency owners, why it matters, and really not just why it matters, but how to form the habits. Because it's one thing to say, well, that makes sense, I know, but why are you not yet doing it? What are some of the things that we can tweak and adjust? I love this study that Duke University did in 2006. It kind of really puts into perspective how important this is. It says that 40 to 50% of actions you do every day are a result of your habits. 40 to 50%. Now, that could be you yawn and you cover your mouth. It could be if you're the person that says, I'm sorry, right before you ask a question. It could be taking your cell phone out of your pocket. But there's so many things we habitually do. And then it talked about the fact that a lot of the habits we have, they lead to the next big block or big chunk of time that we spend, right? It's like taking my phone in my pocket. That's a habit, but that leads me to now consciously thinking, do I check email? Do I go on Instagram? Do I call an agent back? So the subconscious activity leads to my next big chunk of conscious activity. And so therefore, consequently, 80 to 90% of my activity, your activity done every single day is tied to some form of habit. It's a big deal, right? And so the potential of your life is really just a direct reflection of the habits you have. If you want to change your life, we need to change our habits, and our habits are no doubt are going to make or break us because we are what we repeatedly do. You can say, man, why do I feel nervous or anxious or worried when it comes to dialing or investing in leads? Or why am I excited and ambitious and driven? Or why am I broke? Or why am I successful? All these different things, right? It comes back to that. It's kind of think about your New Year's resolution. Most everybody on here, you had some, right? And now we're months into the year. The reality is this, 92% by now of New Year's resolutions have not been hit, right? They weren't acted upon. You had these good intentions, but it didn't come to fruition. And that's what we're talking about, right? All of these people, we want these things. We have these intentions. I want to lose weight. I want to be a top producer. I want to help X amount of families. I want to get a staff and structure. I want to have a business. I want to become an integrity partner. I want these things, but it doesn't come to fruition. The one thing I'm using this example, guys, just simply to illustrate the fact that this is very common, right? And I think oftentimes we can beat ourselves up about it, but it's very common. If you know the Bible, right, the New Testament was written by the Apostle Paul, and he wrote most of the New Testament. And in this verse, I'm just going to use it to articulate the point and the value of what we're talking about. It just kind of made me realize how just normal this is. We are a lot more alike than we are not alike. And the Apostle Paul, who wrote most of the New Testament, right, brought the gospel out to most of the world, and started that. In his scripture in Romans, he says, I really don't understand myself. I want to do what is right. I want to stop procrastinating. I want to invest more in leads. I want to wake up at 5 a.m. I want to get to dial teams. I want to ask questions. I want to be more direct, bold, and assertive. I want to be these things, but I can't. I want to do what is good, but I don't. I don't want to do what is wrong, but I do it anyway. This is him speaking, right? The guy that was one of the most inspirational and impact players in the Bible. And then he goes into and does what most of us do. He ties his identity to his failures and the way he feels, right? And he says, oh, what a miserable person I am. Who will free me from this life dominated by sin and death? And that's what a lot of us do, man, because we have struggled here, then we're just a struggler. We're just a failure. Because I did bad here, I am bad. Because I don't invest, I'm not an investor. All these different things, right? And so the thing is this, Family First Life has given all of us, everybody watching this that's with the company, we all have a great shot to be successful. It might be the first time you've had a shot to go out there and be successful, right? You have the ability to go out and create the amount of income you want and the time and the freedom. It's up to you. You are now your business owner, right? The goal is not just to have a shot. The goal is to make the shot. And today we really want to unpack and talk about how do you make the shot. And so we're going to talk about the framework behind good habits, because successful people do consistently what other people do occasionally. And I thought about this the other day. I put my daughter, this is back when COVID was going on and there was like no sports going on, but my buddy had a jiu-jitsu, place that he, classes and stuff. And so I got my daughter into it. And he said, man, we'll do a family plan if you want to do it too. I was like, I'll do it. Cool. Wednesday nights. Well, I figured out real quickly the hardest belt to attain in jiu-jitsu, right? Most people think black belt. Now, the hardest belt to attain is a white belt, because most people didn't start or don't start. Guess who didn't start? I didn't start. So I never got any kind of belt. And see, I love what he said. He said, a black belt is just a consistent white belt. That's it. They just show up. They're just consistent. They start. So if you want to change your life, you got to change your habits, and you do not have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great, right? And so some of you know what to do to the next level, that new system and habit to put in place, but you've not yet done it. And realize this, the first step is just to show up. That's the first step. It was funny. I talked to Sean. He gave this illustration a while back in a meeting. He said Trevor was in karate classes, and the instructor had figured out what parents want. And what parents want is their kid to level up. Like, think about it. If you're a parent and you've been to like an awards ceremony, you're like, oh, you're so, excited and taken back. Like, little Timmy got his award, right? You're fired up about it. And so he knew this. So he started like cutting down class hours and getting more kids in. And he was promoting these kids like every single week, right? And they all knew what they wanted. He knew what he wanted. But it wasn't until Trevor had to fight his first fight against somebody that actually at that level. And it took 2.2 seconds for Sean to realize that, man, like, there's a difference between that guy, the way he stands, the way Trevor stands. Like, it took 2 seconds. So when they said go, Sean started yelling like, run. And he said Trevor was running around this ring like a gerbil on methamphetamines, man. Like, he didn't want to get hit because he didn't know, he didn't have the systems, the how to develop to the level, right? And for some of us, you don't realize that the systems you have right now are leading you to the lack of production, the lack of effectiveness, and all you see is the outcome. Like, man, I'm just not out there serving the right amount of families. I'm not out there saving the right amount of agents. It doesn't look the way I want it to look. But only when it gets bad enough, sometimes you can kind of reflect back and say, hey, what systems do I have in place that's led me here? Maybe I understand what to get, but I don't know how to get there. So we're going to first unpack the 3 reasons why you don't succeed in doing what you want to do, why you don't attain the goal that you have. And then we're going to unpack exactly what it looks like to create these habits and go through that. So the first reason why you don't succeed is you focus on the what. I want to help 20 families. I want to build a big business. I want to hire some staff. I want to do these things, the what, but you don't focus on the how. I want to be an integrity partner. You want that. And most people want the same things, but you don't focus on the how. See, if you focus on the what, most of us have these similar what goals, like what you want to attain. Like, most of us want to be in shape, want to have financial abundance, want to have time with the family, want to be a top producer, want to be a Hall of Fame producer, want to be an integrity partner. We understand the what, but we don't understand the how. And see, it's even like a championship or a sports team. Most coaches don't say, all right, guys, listen, this year, 5th place. Who's excited about 5th place? That doesn't happen. Like, they want to win the championship. They all do. But then why do some achieve that goal of winning the championship and then so many others fall way, way short? I read this great book by James Clear, Atomic Habits, and he says, winners and losers have the same goals. Successful and unsuccessful people have the same goals. Every sports team has the same goals, but they have completely different outcomes. So I want to help more families. I want a better business. I want to have all these things, but how do you miss it? We got to focus on the how to achieve that. See, goals don't determine success. Systems determine success, and you're never going to rise to the level of your goals. You're going to fall to the level of the systems, habits, rituals, routines that you have in your life. And so we must focus on changing the system, not the result. See, a successful person has the habit of doing the things that the failures don't like to do. And see, the successful person might not have liked doing either. They didn't like waking up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. They didn't like getting uncomfortable investing. They didn't like driving 4 or 5 hours to Bakersfield every single week and getting back home at 11 o'clock and feel like they were seeing pterodactyls flying above them, like they're hallucinating because they hadn't slept. They didn't like doing those things either. But they formed the habit of doing it, and then that habit was just the same habit as the other person as far as the way they felt about it after it was done, but the habit led to a better outcome. It's that kind of simple. I mean, it's not that deep, right? And so when it comes to looking at the how-to, what does that look like? Well, they get to dial team at 7 a.m., right? They get to dial team at 7 a.m. They print the leads off the night before. They call in every home. So when they're in the house, they call in every home. They communicate with the person that they're working with, their manager, with this I guess, communication of accountability and responsibility and getting better and how can I grow and how can I learn. And it was on me. It wasn't on them. It was me. It wasn't the leads. It was me. It wasn't the client. They communicate like that so they can get better, not bitter. It helps them develop the right thought process to grow and develop from there, not to get worse and develop this broke mindset. They choose to watch podcasts late at night, not binge on Netflix. And be clear, I watch some Netflix too. But there's periods of time where the sacrifice is going to be greater when it's more necessary, right? Like when you're trying to lose 189 pounds, you got to sacrifice more than when you're trying to lose 2.5 pounds, right? Or once you're already at the weight that you want to be at, you can say yes to certain things and you don't have to worry about it, putting it all back. But you got to sacrifice more in certain areas. So they're on podcasts late at night, early in the morning, they're listening to podcasts. Before they go to bed, man, they pick up a book and read something that's going to help feed their mind and develop their thought process. They don't pick up the remote. They talk to everybody about Family First Life. It doesn't matter who they come into contact, man. Uber, Lyft, Grubhub, well, you name it. Like, I'm talking to you about Family First Life because it's just in me, man. I'm passionate about it. I know the difference it can make. I want to talk to you about it. They're talking to everybody about it, right? They go to the last appointment when they don't want to go. Man, they had no-shows and reschedules, all these no-sells. And they got a 4-hour gap between now and their 8:30 appointment. They go door knock, pull over, book appointments, and then they show up to the one at 8:30. Or they pull over and they don't drive home until 9 and they dial all the way until 9 to strengthen and solidify the day that they've got tomorrow to make it that much better. It's these small little things that makes it a massive difference. They adapt to new lead options. New lead program comes out, man, they're quick to adapt. They're like, they just adapt, evolve, they change. They have this philosophy of experimentation. Like, I'm going to continue to tweak, adjust, and get better. At the end of the day, they reflect on the day that they just had, and they think, man, what went great today? Let me highlight that so I get more of it, right? Let me magnify that so it can multiply. And then they look at things of how can I have gotten better? What about that day could I tweak, adjust, and make tomorrow better because I did that? It's these simple things. So we think we need to change the result, the amount of families you serve, the amount of agents we've got, but we got to change the systems that we have in place. Second thing is this: we don't see progress fast enough. So, it's like best example. My wife, she's tried many different diets and she does these macro diets and gets this trainer and that trainer, all these different things. And there's been times where she's like doing this whole macro diet for a whole week, personal trainer for the whole week. And then she gets on the scale and she gained a pound. And she's like, screw it. What's this? This is stupid. It's a waste of time, right? And we do the same thing in our business, right? You go out there and you buy your first batch of leads and it didn't work out the way you want it. Well, this just doesn't work out. Or you have 9 no-shows, right? It just doesn't work out. Or you go door knock, you've 10 people and nobody's there. This doesn't work out, right? You go out and then you try a new lead vendor and you don't get the result. Well, this doesn't. You make these long-term decisions on a short-term, basis on the short-term results you've got. You go out and you have a second week you have some chargebacks and things like that. And I don't even know, what's the point of seeing these clients? And you start coming up with these different, and what we determine is 2 conclusions, both being wrong. One conclusion is that these small, wise decisions don't matter that much. It's a lie. It's wrong. Like, this small decision doesn't matter that much. That's one wrong conclusion. The other wrong conclusion is that these small, unwise decisions, they don't matter that much. Like, if I just don't show up to dial team at 7 a.m., if I sleep in a little longer, if I decide not to buy leads on Sunday this week, I'll just pick up more later on down the week, or I'm just going to squeeze the leads from the prior week. These small, unwise decisions, they don't matter that much. Like if I just start eating chips every single night, they don't matter that much. And they don't matter. And that's a wrong conclusion as well, because over time, it all adds up. That little compromise here, right? The little no-show that you didn't go door knock over there. All these things add up and add up and add up. And the reality is this: our life and where we're at right now, your life and where you're at right now, it's a sum total of all the small decisions that you've made, that we make. That's what it is. Or we see somebody killing it and we think, man, like, dude, it just must be great to be able to go out there and crush it. It must be good. They must have some kind of like overnight success, or they have some special leads, or they have this, or they have that. We come up with these, and that's wrong. What we don't realize is that person, all the small sacrifices that they made consistently, that they did over and over and over again, when it was tight and they couldn't figure out what they were going to do because, they didn't have that policy issue like they thought it was going to, or whatever that might be. But they got back on the phones from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock and they didn't leave yet. And they squeezed 2 more appointments out. And that one appointment led to the client that they helped, and it led them to fund the next. Those little wise decisions. And when they kept waking up at 5 a.m., and over and over and over again, paying the price and sacrificing and going out there and being able to do these certain things that helped develop themselves. So when the storm came, they were better prepared because of how they developed in the quiet time. It's these small little things. It doesn't happen overnight. Odds, you're not going to have one bad decision. It's not going to wreck your life all at once or wreck your business all at once, but done consistently over time. It's the sum total of where you're at is those. It's those small little decisions. The goal is to get better at least 1% every day. Just some progress, right? You don't have to see all the results right away. Let's not conclude that they don't matter. They do matter. Can we get a little bit better? And sometimes when that trial is taking place, man, that's what's necessary. Like I for a long time, and I still do this, man. If there's a trial that's going on, I'm like, thank God, because perseverance is taking place. I'm building character. I'm developing to the level that the next time I see something, I'm going to grow. I'm going to hit levels I normally wouldn't hit if I didn't go through these testing times that developed this character that I had to have to achieve these goals that I want to have. And so it's having that right perspective. See, no small deed doesn't go unaccounted for. They're all accounted for. They're all stacking up. They're all stacking up. They're all stacking up. It's kind of like, I think about like boiling water. I got 5 kids, so I remember when we had our first couple, we couldn't afford a dishwasher back then. So we had to boil water in a pan and boil the bottles. And at like 80 degrees, you just have like kind of lukewarm water, at 100 degrees, 180 degrees, nothing's really changing, nothing's shifting, right? You're booking, you're investing leads, but you still haven't hit that goal. You're posting on social media, you're posting on social media, man, you're door knock, you're doing all these things, still haven't got an annuity come through yet. All these things you're doing, but all of a sudden 211 degrees, man, that's when it's like, dude, this doesn't work. But when you're the closest to a breakthrough is usually when you feel the farthest away. And boom, 212 degrees takes place. Man, you got boiling water. Now it's transferred. It's cleansed the entire bottle. Like it's changed everything. Now, boom, all of a sudden you're the 20, you're out there helping 20 families a month. Now, all of a sudden you're out there, you're a board member. All of a sudden you're an integrity partner. And everybody might say like, man, what an overnight success. But you realized it was just those daily disciplines, those daily habits, the systems done over and over and over again. I love what the scripture says in Galatians. It says, let's not become weary in doing well. In due time, or in the proper time, you're going to reap a harvest if you do not give up. Don't get weary in investing in your leads. Don't get weary in reaching out and getting feedback and thinking about your day and making adjustments. Don't get weary at waking up at 5 a.m., man. Don't get weary at posting on social media and tagging people and finding different people to connect with and DM. Don't get weary in doing those things. In the due season, in the right time, in the proper time, you will reap if you don't give up. You will reap if you don't give up. The other thing is this: we got to plan to fail. See, a lot of times our expectation doesn't meet our experience and we get disappointed and we start making wrong choices and we get away from the habits that we're trying to create that are necessary and essential to get to the desired outcome that we want to have. So I'll give you an example. It's kind of like, And Trey says this is probably the best way to put it. Like, we wouldn't get in a car and we have this destination of where we want to go. We wouldn't start driving there, and all of a sudden, pow, we get a pop tire. We get out and you're like, what the heck, man? Got a pop tire. And you grab a knife, you're like, screw it. There's one pop, you just shank all the other 3 tires. You wouldn't do that. You would fix the tire and continue to drive forward. And too often times, man, you get the office space, you start doing these things, and you get one pop tire, and then you make stupid responses. You leave the office space that provides the environment that's going to allow you to be successful and gives you the identity that says you are a CEO, that you are a business owner. You stop investing in the right amount of leads. You stop showing the dial team up early. You don't stay until you book all your appointments. You leave early because I got to do this or that. You pop all the other tires, man. Just get back in the car and keep driving, right? All right, point number 3 is this. Third reason is our distorted identity sabotages our success. Now, I'm not gonna preach to you at all, but I do believe that the enemy came to kill, steal, and destroy. He does that through division, distortion, discouragement, and so whenever you have something take place, the goal is to make you feel like that event or that experience that's happened, that's who you are, right? So you failed, so I'm a failure. That's the worst thing you could do. And I'm always encouraged when I take a look at influential people in the Bible that made a big impact, that they dealt with this too. We all deal with it. We all do. Like Moses was called to go speak to Pharaoh, and he's like, I told God, I can't speak. I don't know how to speak. Like, God created him. Like, he knows what he put in him. He's a manufacturer, right? And Moses, I can't. Like, he had an identity issue. Something in his past and experience had made him believe that he can't do the very thing that God created him to do, right? Paul says, I'm the least and most unworthy. It's like, that was his identity. He had to work through that. He had to let that old identity go away in order to step into the results and the outcomes that he wanted to have and that he was called to have. Simon Peter, depart from me. I'm just a sinful man. And he's the one that went out and brought the gospel to Gentiles and all these other. So what I'm saying is that identity has to shift. The worst thing you could do is have the wrong identity. And see, how does this play out in your career? Plays out like this. Man, I'm not good on the phones. I'm just not good on the phones. You say that, you'll never be able to go out and have outcomes that show you differently. You're going to go out and behave in such a way that validates the identity that you've got. I'm not able to recruit, people. I'm not good at recruiting. I'm not good at building a business. I'm not good at helping 20. I can't help 20 families a month. I can't do that. I've never been good with money. I don't know how to invest and do the right things. I just blow them. All these different things will mess you up. See, an unhealthy identity will create unwise habits, and unwise habits reinforce an unhealthy identity. So you've got to get your identity right. It's a cycle. It's a vicious cycle. If you don't see yourself as a business owner, if you don't see yourself as a Hall of Fame producer, if you don't see yourself as somebody helping 20 families a month, you're never going to do it. Your habits are going to reinforce that identity. So the new approach, this is something applicable that something action oriented you guys can take, is coming up with who goals, not do goals. Do goals is I want to do this. I want to hit 20 families a month. I want to hit these goals. A who goal is, who do you need to be to hit that, right? Like, what kind of person do you need to be to do that? Like, do you need to be an emotionally strong and disciplined person? Do you look at it and say, man, I just lack focus, but if I was focused more, not so distracted, I think I'd be more inclined to hit these goals. Start with who. Well, then you got to put down, man, I'm a leader that's focused, disciplined, strategic, and cares about people. If you believe that's the person that you need to be to hit those goals, start there. Start reshifting your identity. Man, I'm a meaningful, specific to others. I'm a great steward of the resources and the opportunity that I've got with Family First Life. I'm grateful and gracious. I'm a leader who develops leaders. Start with the who goals. So write down 3 who goals that's going to help you develop into the person that can accomplish these do goals that you got. See, identity shapes actions. You see, human beings, they're acting, we're always acting consistently with who we think they are. It's one of the strongest forces we have, is just to be consistent with who we define ourselves to be. It's kind of like, this would get, I guess, an example to kind of illustrate. It's like if somebody says, say you're smoking cigarettes, or you're vaping and you want to stop, and somebody comes up and says, hey, Casey, you want to hit this vape, dog? You want to hit this? If you say, no, man, I'm trying to quit. The odds of you quitting, man, it's like 10,000 times less likely. Because what you're saying is, I'm a smoker. That's who I am. And I'm trying to be somebody that I'm not, which is to stop. It's very unlikely that you'll ever stop, statistically speaking. But if I said, hey, man, you want to hit this vape? You're like, nah, man, I stopped smoking. I don't smoke any longer. The odds of you stopping and being consistent and not going back is 10,000 times greater, because you're saying that's my former identity. I'm no longer that person. This is the person I am now, which is a non-smoker, right? It's just the way it plays out. And it's essential that we see it like that and start calling ourselves the right things, or we're never going to get the outcome that we desire. My daughter, Parker, about 4 years ago, what is she now? She's nine. So when she was like 5, we have these Sonos speakers at the house. And the Sonos speakers, they just come out with this Alexa that was built into the Sonos speaker. And so at the time, the kids just loved this song. I think it was, Boomerang by JoJo Siwa. And I'd come home and she'd always be looking at the speaker. The Alexa one was in the kitchen, and she'd be like, Alexa, play JoJo Siwa Boomerang, like every day. Well, I walked in the house one day and we had these speakers all over the place. They all look the same. She walks into the living room and she's yelling at the speaker like, Alexa, play JoJo Siwa Boomerang. And I said, sweetheart, baby girl, like that ain't Alexa. And she's like, well, Dad, this stupid speaker looks like Alexa and it don't listen. And what she didn't realize at the time is like the manufacturer didn't build that speaker with the Alexa functionality. It looked like it, but it wasn't it. And see, you being here with Family First Life, like you found this to be successful, right? Believe what you want, but the Creator didn't create you to be broke, to not have enough, to be lack. He created you to have abundance, to have dominion, to be fruitful, to multiply. That's what you were created for. It's promises that were given to you. But if you go around calling yourself something different than you actually were created to be, you're going to have an outcome and you're going to live a life that wasn't the life you were called to live. You're not going to be successful and have the success that was before you with FFL because of an identity thing that you created because of what you call yourself. So be intentional with that. See, a healthy identity creates positive habits. Positive habits will reinforce a healthy identity. So what do you want to become? I always think about it like this. Let's just say you died, and on your tombstone, it talked about who you were, like what people would describe you to be. Like, what would you want it to say? Like, what would you want it to say if your tombstone broke down exactly who you are? You know what I wouldn't want it to say? What if it said like there lays average Bob, average business, average producer, average marriage, average bank account, average. There's average Bob. I wouldn't want that to say that, but so what would you want it to say? Man, I'd want it to say like, man, that was a disciplined person that was focused, intentional, made a difference, loved people, built a massive organization and business that served others, that equipped, empowered, and challenged others to be great, fulfill their potential. That was a great steward of their financial situation, that raised a great family. I would want it to say that. So what do you want yours to say? And write that down, think about it, meditate on it, right? So it's who do you want to be? Now, we're going to get into the last section of this, and I'm going to unpack it pretty quick. It's once you know who you want to be, based on who you want to be, what's the one habit that you need to put in place that you need to start right away? What's the one habit? Now, when you name the habit, you want to make it two things. You want to make it small, and you want to make it obvious. You want to make it two things. Make it easy and make it obvious, right? And I love what Charles Duhigg says in his book. He says that small habits will cascade unintentionally into other areas of your life. They're like keystone habits. Now, what does that look like applicable to what we do in our business? Well, not hitting the snooze, for instance, being self-employed, because now you've got to finally, you have control over the snooze button. Like before, man, you had to get out of bed because you wouldn't want to lose your job. But now you could hit it, man. You're the boss, dude. You want to sleep in, dude? Get your sleep. You could do that now. So what do you choose? See, if you choose to not hit snooze, what you're doing is you're casting votes and reinforcing the identity that you are a disciplined person. And that can cascade into you being timely at the office, not procrastinating, not being moved by what you feel like doing, but being moved by what you want to accomplish and what the vision of the future is for you. And it starts with something small, right? It could be like the best one, I think, for this business, is showing up to one small habit. Show up to the office, man. Like, get to an environment where people are doing the activity that you want to do. Get around association is one of the first ways that you can change your best ways you could change your identities by a different tribe, a different group of people. Come into an office where you're around like-minded people, some of which that have gone the path that you're looking to go down, that can say, man, let me make my hindsight your foresight, dude. Let me tell you where to step, where not to step, where to go, how to go, why to do it, why not to do it. They can give you that. Environment dictates your inner environment. Like it shapes and shifts the way you think, feel, and act where you're placed. So getting to an environment where you can start thinking different. Now that's a keystone habit. Because when I normally procrastinate, man, I don't, because I don't want to feel out of sorts, man. Like, these people are dialing right away. I don't want to feel out of sorts. I'm gonna dial. So you start doing these things that you need to do in order to be the success you want to be, right? It's a keystone habit. Now you invest more in resources because they're investing more in resources, and people do what people do. You get to an environment where it's easier to focus. Maybe you said, man, the one who goal I got to have is I got to be focused, man. I got to get focused. Well, now you're in this environment where it's easier to focus. You're not as distracted, right? So that's a prime example of keeping it small and picking something that could be a cornerstone habit that will lead to many of the things that are necessary and essential, that all of a sudden, boom, it starts to work out, it starts to happen for you. See, how you do anything is how you do everything. In fact, I got a team, my 9-year-old, I coach a soccer team, and that's one of the things that I always try to do my best to teach him is like, man, even the toe touches and the bells and the way you stretch, like, it all matters. It's hard to just switch on the switch of excellence. Like, I've been lackadaisical with all these things, and now when it's time to make the game-winning shot, I'm able just to make the game-winning shot. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. How you do anything is how you do everything. We do everything with excellence. So all these little things will add up to creating the big outcomes that we desire, right? If you want to be disciplined, man, buy just something small, start small, buy leads every Sunday and Wednesday. I want to be disciplined. Get to the office. I'm a leader who cares. Man, send a note of encouragement to somebody every single morning. I'm a leader who cares. Call somebody, have a tough conversation that's going to show them that you love them and you're packaging in truth, but you're telling them, hey, man, you got to tweak these things, adjust these things, or you're not going to get to where you want to get. Challenge, equip, and empower them. If your leader cares, make one phone call a day. Send one text a day. Keep it small. Keep it small. Heck, man, I'll give you an example. It's like floss a tooth. I want to be disciplined, just floss a tooth. Just one. See, that's dumb. You floss one, you eventually floss two. You're creating this habit that's going to lead to more of you doing it. It's the consistency that's more essential than the intensity. So building those consistency up, right? More grateful, man, just in the morning, write down 3 things you're grateful for. Just shift your mindset. So based on who you want to become, what is the one new habit that you need to start? All right. And you create those systems. See, we all have systems. Every one of us. Every one of us. You either have a system based off of intention or a system based off of default. Default system could be like what you feel like doing, man, and that's a dangerous, slippery slope, man, when you're self-employed. What does that look like, man? Late at night, you just kind of, pound some goldfish, chips, hang out, get on your phone, start scrolling through some stuff mindlessly, right? Looking at what everybody else is doing, comparing their highlight reel to your behind the scenes day, making yourself feel insignificant, not important, not good enough. You go to bed, right? Wake up in the morning, hit snooze 5-6 times. Now you're running really late to the office. So then you take off, you're rushing to the office, didn't do anything as far as building yourself up, empowering yourself, and there's no routine or morning ritual. Woke up way too late, get to the office, don't have your leads printed out yet, so now you're trying to shift and get your leads printed out. You look to the person next to you, the only difference between him and you both have the same goal, what goal? You want to help 20 families this month, but this guy's been there. He was planned, prepared, didn't do those things. He already made 4 appointments. Now you're like, man, I didn't even make 4 appointments. Now you're struggling and you're causing yourself to be less efficient and effective on the phones. You leave early. Oh, that's a system. It's a system. You get home, you yell at the kids, whatever it is. It's a system. It's not a good one, but it's a system. An intentional system. See, excellence doesn't happen by accident. It happens based off of awareness and attention and action. So taking the action and being intentional with it. So what system do you need to be in place? So the one thing I've read, many different books, they all kind of say the same thing. They might say it differently, but it's the same deal. It's the habit loop, right? And this is what we're going to get into as we wrap up. The habit loop is you've got a trigger, you've got an action, and you've got a reward. The trigger could be like I'm sitting down to dial. Well, what's your routine? Like, what does that trigger you to do? Is it, man, every time I'm sitting on dial, I just go on Instagram. I go on social media and I get distracted and I don't make nearly as many dials per hour like I could make. I'm not nearly as efficient or effective, right? Maybe that's it. Maybe the trigger is, it could be a time of day, like early morning. Man, it wakes up, it's early morning. This is the routine I do. I go into my home office before I take off to the other office and I pray, I journal, I write down what I'm grateful for, I write my affirmations, I write my 3 priorities for the day that are most important. I do that. Or maybe it's the opposite, man. Like I get up and I'm in a rush. What it could be that late at night. That's a trigger. That's a cue, right? It could be your mood, man. Every time I feel bored, I go on Instagram. So you got to change the trigger in the routine, right? And then the reward is a hit of dopamine, right? It's a payoff. Maybe it's a 7 minutes extra sleep or whatever you got. It's the same thing that repeats. It's that pleasure. It's a rush. It's a payoff. That's the reward. So they got the trigger, you got the action, the routine, and then you got the reward. And it's very similar. Again, if we go back to like 80% of basically what we do is tied to these subconscious subliminal habits, or 40% at least to really 80% of what we consciously do as well. It's a big deal, right? And it's just it's a trigger, and then the same kind of action, and then a very similar reward, and then it's a cycle that continues on. So how do we create a new habit? We want 2 things to happen. We want the trigger and the action to be obvious and easy. Obvious and easy. So how do we make it obvious? Right? You wake up. Typically, you hit snooze a bunch of times. Man, you're like, I know I want to wake up at 5 a.m. All these top producers on these podcasts, man, they wake up at 5 a.m. All these this is what they do. But you don't do it. Man, I know they do it, but I just don't do it. Well, instead of having it on your nightstand, man, put it across the room and put a water bottle next to it. So when it goes off, you got to get it out of bed. That changes your routine. You got to walk across the room, right? And it's obvious because it's there. You made it obvious. It could be, man, I want to do the 5-minute journal app. I want to write down things I'm grateful for. Well, set it up where if you wake up at, say, 5 a.m., man, it pops up on your phone. Boom, 5-minute journal app. It reminds you, make it obvious, right? You say, I want to start reading before I go to bed. Put your book on your pillow. It's obvious. So it changes the trigger. I see that now. Opposed to, I want to do this. I know I need to start reading a book and develop myself at night. And outside of income producing activities, I should be doing stuff that makes me a better version of who I want to be. But man, you just don't do it. You leave it in the nightstand. And you won't remember. You got to make it obvious. You got to make it obvious. Hide the social media app. Hide it in one of the other folders so you could focus on dialing. You're not tempted to just go fall into that same cycle that you fall into. Man, I want to work out. Man, put the gym shoes right next to your phone or your clothes in the morning. When you go up, boom, you see it. It's obvious. It's right there. You make it obvious. See, the goal is to make it harder to do what we don't want to do and make it easier to do what we want to do. Next thing is this: make it easy. Just make it simple. Man, just make a dial. Just make one dial. One door knock between appointments. Just one. Just make a door knock. Just make it simple system. I want to start posting on social media. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I wonder if you on here, you've heard it and you're like, man, I know I need to do it, but I just don't do it. I just feel like the time's fleeting. I mean, everybody's got the same amount of time. It's just the systems, it's the habits that are taking place within that same amount of time. So maybe to keep it easy, you just go on and you take a screenshot of maybe Nina's post, because she's always got some great ones, and you take a screenshot, cut in the edges, crop it or whatever, and you post it. That's it, just one. I'm just going to take a screen. I'm not even going to think about creatively come up with my own post. I'm just going to go on her story, find the one I like, screenshot, boom, post it on mine. Just do one. And then another one will happen, and then you start following this rhythm and routine where you've developed now a habit that's more likely to lead you to where you want to go. The journal app, what I'm grateful for, right? Just do one verse. Or do one thing you're grateful for. You're going to do 5, just do one, right? Just do one. I want to work out, man, just do a push-up or something, man. I can't do a push-up. Well, get down and lay down and get back up. I don't know, but just keep it easy. Keep it simple. Last thing is make it automatic. right? Successful people form the habits of doing the things that others don't want to do. Make it automatic. It's just make it systematic. So how do you do that? Well, this is how we're going to do it. So it's going to go like this. After I blank, after I get to the office, after I make my first dial, after I get no-showed, after I get in my car, after I wake up, I'm going to do this. So you got to pre-decide. So after I go to the office, I'm going to make my dials. After I wake up, I'm going to go make my coffee. And after I make my coffee, or you can say once the alarm goes off, man, I'm going to go across my room, chug the bottle of water, boom, wake up, I'm all fired up. I'm going to go down to the kitchen or whatever. I'm going to make my cup of coffee. After I do that, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the 5-minute journal app. I'm going to journal some things. After I do my journal app, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to read my affirmations. Once I read my affirmations, then I'm going to go through and visualize me having a successful day and the 3 priorities that I need to accomplish. After I do that, I'm going to visualize these new habit loops I'm trying to create. So if I'm trying to read at night before I go to bed, or if I'm trying to invest in leads consistently, I'm going to see myself doing that. I'm going to see myself walking in bed and being pulled and wanting to do the other habit, but I'm going to choose this. So I'm going to rehearse that over and over again, because your mind doesn't know the difference between what you imagine, what you experience. So I'm going to start creating new neural pathways by seeing it that way. After I visualize, I'm going to go and I'm going to pray a little, or you could meditate, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to read a little bit, and then I'm going to tackle the first most important thing, or the thing I don't want to do at all. I'm going to do that first. I'm going to do it right away to get myself a small victory on top of that. That's what I'm going to do. After I do this, I will do this, to pre-decide to do it. So you got to remember to keep it small. Your small, consistent habits determine who you'll become, because successful people do consistently what other people do occasionally. People that are helping, agents that are helping, man, 20 families a month, they're not there by accident. They've developed these disciplines and systems that have led them to doing that. Integrity partners, they didn't get there by accident. It wasn't special. They just developed these systems and habits to go out there and grow their business to level. See, we got to take awareness, intention, and action and put it into practice. We all have similar goals, but we have incredibly different results. We don't have a goal problem. You don't have a goal problem. You have a habit problem. You never want to underestimate your ability to start something big through one small habit. It's the small things that nobody sees that leads to the outcomes that everybody wants. We got to rethink success. Too often we don't see ourselves as successful until we accomplish this big goal. And this is a big mistake. Like once we hit this, then we'll be successful. The problem with that is there's a process to be had. And all the days that go by when that's just what you're tying to, oh man, once I do this, then I'll be successful. Man, you don't got any reward. You got no dopamine hit long enough. And you just get disappointed, exhausted, and you just go back doing whatever you're doing. But we rethink success. We're not successful when we hit some far goal out in the future. We're successful when we're faithful what we need to do today. When you make the dials you say you're going to make. When you wake up when you say you're going to wake up. When you order the leads when you said you're going to order leads. When you invest the amount that you said you're going to invest. When you do the interviews to hire that staff. When you post consistently on social media. When you say I'm going to talk to 3 people randomly today about family first life. When you are faithful in doing the activity and the systems that you put in place today, that's when you're successful. And if you can do that, you'll get that little dopamine hit each day, and you're going to develop these habits that are going to make a massive difference. See, I love what God says in the Bible. He says, man, if you're faithful with the small things, God will trust you with the big things. You're not successful when you get more. You're successful when you're faithful today. See, each small action is a vote towards your identity. The question is, are you casting a vote towards the goals and the person you want to accomplish or be to accomplish those goals? Or are you casting votes on the opposite way? So today, as we wrap up, guys, the thing is this: can you choose one small habit? Can you make it easy? Can you make it obvious? Can you make it automatic? Because the difference between a Hall of Fame producer, an integrity partner, and somebody that's fallen way short, it's the habits. It's the systems that they've got in place. So guys, I hope this has served you and served you well. Make sure to like, subscribe, share it. I do believe that everybody wants to make a difference and impact others and help others and love others and serve others. And sometimes just a simple share will do that. Also, we've got a lot of lead money we're being given away. And I'm excited. I watch it every week. I go back and I watch Casey do the drawing and see the agents that have won the free lead cash. And now we have 4 a week. And so make sure to comment below. Love to see your name be drawn. Guys, let's go make it a massive week. There's no reason why you can't become a better version of yourself today than you were yesterday and continue to progress 1% better every day. And when you look up in the next 12 months, the goal is to be surprisingly shocked in a great way about where you're at, not being like, man, how did I get here? But wow, thank God, look at this. I couldn't believe I got here. So guys, make it a massive week. We'll talk to you soon. Stay strong, be steadfast. Take care. Bye-bye. All right, guys. So I've got a very special guest to kind of tie in this concept that we just covered, which is habits, and how massive a difference it is. I mean, habits will make or break you. You are what you repeatedly do. And so in our house, we've got these things we repeatedly do. So we're going to get right into it. I want to introduce my princess, Penelope. Good to have you on, sweetheart. You excited?
Yes.
All right. So we have these habits we do at night. We do affirmations and declarations every night. What are your favorite affirmations?
I'm strong.
I'm strong?
Yeah.
Why do you like that one?
Because like it's you strong.
Because it makes you feel stronger?
Yeah.
Makes you feel stronger? What's another one you love?
I'm loved.
I'm loved. Any other ones?
I'm confident.
That's a good one. What about any others? What else?
I'm wonderfully made.
Wonderfully made? That's a good one. All right, if there's somebody else that came up to you and said, what's one more that you love, which one would it be?
What do we have?
You like, I'm grateful?
Yeah, I like it.
That one you tell me you love. So every night we do these. Does it make you feel better?
Yeah.
It makes you feel like those things? Like it makes you feel more grateful, confident, strong?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love you, sweetie. So if anybody does this, it'll probably help them out, right? Good habit?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a good habit to have. So if you're wondering what's a good habit to put in at night, right before you go to bed, do what Princess Penelope does. You speak these affirmations. You talk truth over yourself. So when you go to bed, you can think on good things throughout the night. And then when you wake up, you probably feel better, right?
Yeah.
Right before school.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining, sweetie. Love you. All right, guys, make it a massive week. Talk to you soon.
What's going on, guys? We are giving away $1,000 worth of leads. If you commented on last week's video, which is playing right over here, you're automatically entered to win. We're going to pick 4 winners today who are each going to get $250 worth of leads. So without further ado, before I do it, make sure you leave a comment right now on this video so you're entered to win for next week's drawing. Now, we're going to see our first winner. Kaiser Cameron 2012, another great podcast. Thank you, Paul and Sean, for everything you do and all of your wisdom. That is our first winner. Our second winner is Mason Murdoch. Winner again, because I believe you won before. Correct me if I'm wrong. You can only win like once within like a 1 month period. I think that's where I'm drawing the line at. Or win once every 3 months. Every quarter. Maybe that works? I don't know. I'll hear about it later if it's not okay. Our third winner is Ian Sanders. Love this. You guys give more and more. Whoa. You guys give more, you get more to give more. That's right. Even though it's a bit of a tongue twister, you were correct. And our last winner is Junior, the insurance guy. The FFL fam always got the heat. You are darn right, Junior. That makes me laugh. Like, today, Junior. Winners, congratulations. Get in contact with Victoria. Her phone number is going to be right up here this week. I'm not going to put it down here. I'm going to put it up here now. Guys, it's that simple. Just leave a comment and you're automatically able to win some leads. It's that simple. We pick winners every week. And the same people can't get it because they can only win once every 3 months. So, leave a comment, because you just might win 250 free lead, $250 worth of free leads, which will help your business, help you grow, help you transform, and help you help families. Take care, guys. We'll see you next week.